Hello, everyone. Welcome to Backyard Musings, broadcasting live from Apple Valley. I'm Steve.
And I'm Scott.
Thank you for joining us today. It was an awesome Sabbath yesterday, wasn't it?
Good day, yeah.
That fireside was awesome.
Yeah.
Testimonies of converts and stuff.
Yeah. Amazing talent.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The music was
yeah,
awesome,
great.
too. Yeah.
Great way to end the day.
Yeah. And start the week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, folks. We're going to talk about the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. To give you some background, there were 4 acts that were passed. 2 Sedition Acts and an Alien Friends Act and an Aliens Enemy Act. And it was right around the time, remember, we became the United States in 1787. And France, we'd be having a British accent if it weren't for France.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for once the French, yeah, they pulled us out there. They really helped us.
Yeah, and so there was concerns that because the revolution was going on in France, that maybe it's French people in the United States, French nationals, not citizens, were going to stir up the same feelings, right? For another revolution for the United States. So they passed this act. Donald Trump has said, quote, "I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to target and dismantle every migrant criminal network operating on American soil." Sounds good. I mean, criminal network, if we can get them out of here and dismantle them, sounds really good. How's he going to do it, though? Trump is...
Well, he's going to have people fighting against that, right?
Oh, yeah.
So...
Yeah. Trump is promising that if reelected, he will use the act to initiate a federal effort called Operation Aurora, named after the Colorado town that he claims has been taken over by Venezuelan gangs. I mean, the town hasn't. There's some complexes, a few.
Just a handful.
Just a handful.
Right?
In the United States, which residents and local officials dispute because it's a Democrat town. But, I mean, really, that's hyperbole saying the entire town was taken over.
True, but if you allow a few
foothold,
they're gonna continue to come, just like we've allowed a few illegals to cross the border, and it's just being flooded now, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's crazy.
So Operation Aurora to target undocumented migrant gang members for arrest and deportation. He has also suggested that the act could be used to end sanctuary cities. Well, that's a stretch. Which limit cooperation with federal immigration authorities, telling Fox News' Harris Faulkner that we can do things in terms of moving people out. Okay,
I mean, if you can do it, that'd be great.
But, well, I mean, the Democrats are wily coyotes when it comes to working around the law. So it's just going to be interesting how the Republicans do it and still maintain some dignity.
Yeah. Okay, so what is the Alien Enemies Act? The Alien Enemies Act permits the government to arrest and deport all male citizens of an enemy nation in the event of war.
In the event of war.
Right. Okay. So that could be kind of tough,
That's
right?
I
mean, we're not at war with that gang in Colorado's Venezuelan, right?
Yeah.
We're not at war
with
them.
Yeah.
So that may be kind of tough. But this is a quote now. Whenever there shall be a declared war between the United States and any foreign nation or government, and the President of the United States shall make public proclamation of the event, all natives, citizens, residents, or subjects of the hostile nation or government, being males of the age of 14 years and upwards, who should be within the United States and not actually naturalized, shall be liable to be apprehended, restrained, secured, and removed as alien enemies.
Okay,
that's a mouthful.
Yeah. So they said citizens, right?
Correct.
But it says, and not actually naturalized.
Right. So in other words, not born in this country, right?
Right.
So I mean, that's a tough one. We were talking about before we got on this kind of hits home here with this deal here. So this was actually how Japanese American citizens were detained and relocated to concentration camps around the U.S. Yeah. We had one of those about 160 miles north of here in Manzanar, up in the Owens Valley. And they, even though it was harsh conditions, and there were several other places. I think there was one in Utah, Wyoming, Oregon, and they were not in they weren't on the beach. These places were, the winter conditions were harsh, the summer conditions were harsh.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just barren over there.
it was,
Get
yeah.
inside.
And
Get inside.
but they flourished. If you ever have the opportunity, if you live in California, visit California, you go up there and they've got a museum there. And those people, the Japanese Americans that were there, they flourished. And I was telling Steve that my dad was working with some engineers at some rocket and aeronautics companies that he worked for earlier, and he had friends that were removed and taken to these concentration camps. And it just devastating, right? I mean, these guys were working for the government. Basically, they were a government contractor, and because of their nationality and because of the reaction through the president at the time, which was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, during World War II, right? Because of the attack on Pearl Harbor. So
it was also Germans too.
Yeah,
Germans were taken.
Yeah,
so this key up here that Scott said, about the law, he quoted it, the law,
14
naturalized.
And up too.
Yeah, 14 and up.
I mean, obviously things were different back then, right? People were, they could have been fighting against, or
that's kind of drastic. I guess back in
14.
1798,
I mean,
14,
you
were helping out.
If you could carry a musket, you were,
or bang the drum,
or whatever, you were helping out, right?
Yeah. So naturalized. So if you think about the Japanese that were interred, these were second and third generation Japanese. So how did the Democrats? How did Roosevelt get around that?
I don't know.
I would say a big majority.
I think it was just because of the climate of the country at that time. I mean, we'd just been attacked. People were crazed.
Yeah, but Democrats have a crazy way of doing workarounds to the law. Yeah,
I don't know back then. I don't know if it was the same kind of atmosphere. Maybe it was. I don't know. I wasn't alive then. So
that would infuriate me if they're citizens, not naturalized, born.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I'm sure a lot of them were, even though like I said, they flourished up in this camp.
Still,
they weren't happy.
Their property was confiscated.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They weren't happy. I mean, these people were living, Southern California and and other places too, but it's just nuts. Yeah. Pretty crazy.
So President James Madison invoked the act against British nationals during the War of 1812. President Woodrow Wilson invoked the act against nationals of the Central Powers during World War I. I don't know if Madison was a Democrat, but Wilson was. In 1918, and an amendment to the act struck the provision restricting the law to males. Okay, so it's been modified. On December 7th, 1941, in response to the bombing of Pearl Harbor, President Franklin D. Roosevelt used the authority of the revised Alien Enemies Act to issue presidential proclamations 2525, Alien Enemies Japanese, 2526, Alien Enemies German, and 2527, Alien Enemies Italian, to apprehend, restrain, secure, and remove Japanese, German, and Italian non-citizens. That's a crazy
drastic
time.
Yeah, pretty drastic.
On September 8th, 1945, Truman issued Presidential Proclamation 2662, which authorized the Secretary of State to remove enemy aliens that had been sent to the United States from Latin American countries. Right? No declaration of war in 47. Right?
Right.
How did Truman work around that? It provides some precedent. On April 10th, 1946, Truman issued Presidential Proclamation 2685, which modified the previous proclamation and set a 30-day deadline for removal. Probably outrage, right? 30-day deadline for removal. So when Democrats invoke the act, Roosevelt and Truman and Wilson, then it's okay, right?
Well, I guess
crazy.
So. I guess so. Yeah.
Crazy.
So in Ludicky versus Watkins in 1948, the Supreme Court interpreted that the time of release under the Alien Enemies Act, German alien Kurt G. W. Ludicky was detained on December 8th, 1941, under Proclamation 2526, and continued to be held after secession of the hostilities in. I
studied this in law school. This case.
So in 1947, Ludicky petitioned for a writ of habeas corpus to order his release.
He's still under arrest 2 years after it ended.
Yeah, that's crazy. After the Attorney General ordered him deported. the court ruled 5-4 for Ludicky and to release Ludicky, but was also found that the Alien Enemies Act allowed for detainment beyond the time hostilities ceased until an actual treaty was signed with a hostile nation or government. I mean, that.
Come on, man, that wasn't in the law.
Yeah, what was the deal with that? I mean, that guy. I mean, today he would have sued the government, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this is so President Trump does have some precedent from Truman to invoke the act, even though a declaration of war expired. I'm not sure how Trump would end sanctuary cities, maybe with an executive order based on the act.
Yeah,
I mean,
that'd be
this is going to be tricky how he's going to do this.
Talk about lawsuits. There would be some litigation involved in that, right?
Oh yeah, Democrats would block this.
Oh
yeah, totally.
Well, and I don't know. I mean, is he overreaching his power? I don't know. I'm trying to do that, but I mean, I think it's great. I'm not a fan of sanctuary cities, but from the legal aspect of it, I don't know if that would fly. So be tied up in court for a long time.
He's tried restricting funding to sanctuary cities, and they push back.
Right.
And courts have said that you can't do that.
Yeah.
I remember
that.
that.
I'm not a fan. I don't think that there should be any place like that because it you end up harboring illegals. I mean, not illegals, but criminals, right? I mean, they know where they can go. It's like a safe zone, and that shouldn't be. There shouldn't be no safe zone.
The difference between us is that we have a conscience about we want to do the right thing. Democrats, whatever it takes,
power and control.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
Yeah,
it's just corruptible. It is.
Yeah. That's. I think we mentioned it last week. You know, if you become a member of Congress, or you have to agree that you're going to be corruptible, even though you're not supposed to be. I mean, there's just so much money and so much graft and so much manipulation. It's just crazy.
J.D. Vance seems to me like a statesman, and unless I find out information to the contrary where he's crooked, right. I mean, I'm going to refer to him as a statesman.
Yeah, no, I agree. So far, he's been a good guy, and there are several guys in Congress that I think are great people. Jim Jordan, I think he's a good guy. You know? I'm a Matt Gaetz fan, even though I know a lot of people aren't, and he's got some baggage and stuff. But that guy, I'm telling you, I wish they were all like that.
He's a fighter.
He is a fighter, and he wants to know. He wants to find out the truth.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I'm a Donald Trump fan. I think he's
give us some comments. Tell us what you think about this Aliens Enemies Act.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you have any experience with it, if you were an alien enemy and you were detained, let us know.
Yeah, or your family, some member of your family.
All right, thanks, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take care. Have a good day.